Hey, Lordy, look at the time.
Empowered.
So, welcome back to another episode of the Empowered Podcast. Today, I am joined by Jonny and Yusef. I'm going to just put it over to you guys to explain who you guys are and what you do, essentially. So, yeah, just...
Do you know what this is? It's a hot potato. It's just Alex has been warming up.
Yeah, now it's yours. It's on your toes.
I mean,
you're going to do it.
I'll take the hot potato. So, yeah, my name's Yusef. Alex, thank you for having us on. What a treat to be in this like jungle environment.
You're very welcome.
Discussing some very sensible topics today. So, appreciate it.
That's the plan.
And this is Jonny.
So you have hot potato. Because the question was, like, who are you? Why are you here? And you've just said, thanks for having us. And said, Jonny, do it.
So, Jonny, it's over to you, really. This has been put completely on your toes.
Who are
now
we?
Your responsibility to say who you both are and what you both do.
Okay. We are the co-owners of Propane Fitness, which started out as online fitness coaching. It's still kind of that in a way, but we now more sort of teach what we learned in doing that for a long time to gyms, personal trainers, people who want to go online, take their fitness services online in a way that doesn't require the whole like post your life on Instagram thing.
Got it.
We both have pretty weird backgrounds for people who work in that industry. So I used to work in accountancy, which I wouldn't recommend doing. Yusef used to work in banking, investment banking. Did that for a bit, thought that was bad. Thought, I know I'll go do a medical degree. Did a medical degree, became a doctor, was a doctor through COVID, and now works full-time in Propane.
It's an elegant summary.
Thank you.
Much better than
well, you know, when you put under pressure, sometimes sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But.
So you guys started out, obviously, after you'd had, you know, the different career paths to take you to doing Propane, essentially delivering online training to a variety of clients who were looking to get in better shape, improve other areas of their life. And then you kind of transitioned into teaching other people how to do that. What was the kind of main reasons that you decided to, you know, pivot in that direction?
Very much demand driven. So we started out like 2008, 2009 when, as you know, like you could have absolutely fluked an online business. And like it was just a WordPress website where we were writing like guide to protein, like what is hypertrophy, that kind of thing, like as articles. And they were ranking on Google and like you could spend £5 on Facebook ads and generate a bunch. So that was the first couple of years of the honeymoon period. And then as the market started to become more and more mature, we had to then start thinking, okay, this is something we need to take a bit more seriously. Start getting some inquiries from people being like, oh, will you work with me? Will you train with me and stuff? And the kind of content that we posted was very cerebral, nerdy stuff that most people aren't interested in. Like, how does the fractional synthetic rate of leucine affect protein synthesis in this case, and all this stuff in it. So it turned out that like other personal trainers were often the people that were following us.
Right, okay.
It was kind of an accident that way.
Yeah.
Just because we were like nerding out on that stuff. As a result, that became the kind of niche audience that we had. And a lot of as we kind of took it more seriously as well, we applied quite a systematic approach from our backgrounds into online coaching. And a lot of the people that were working with us as clients were like, man, your system's really slick. Like, can you help me with my own systems to coach my clients? And we were like, well, I guess we can. And we were worried about like creating competitors at this point and all this stuff. But we were like, okay, we'll work with a couple of people and help them do it. So it was very much like demand driven. And then over time, we've been like, actually, the world is made of lots of little niches and there's no such thing as creating competitors. Like you're just raising the standard of the industry as a whole. So if anything, it's like we're very happy to share our secrets, really.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So in terms of, you know, the content that you created originally, which was being lapped up, it seems, by other personal trainers as opposed to who you were potentially going after, I think that's quite interesting. Obviously, one of the usual biggest mistakes that professionals make, you know, in industries such as accounting and things like that, you see on social media, they're posting things for other accountants or other lawyers, or, you know, they're posting something that is so dry that only someone in that industry would find any value in it. So usually that's, you know, not the best avenue to go down. but then you guys have essentially created a business off of the back of it by capitalizing on that attention that you've received.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, it wasn't on purpose. Like, it was driven out of like our desire to speak to these people a lot of the time. So our podcast initially was like the guy who created 531. If you've heard of 531, remember car backloading?
Yeah.
So like, I think we were one of the first people in the UK to interview him.
Right.
It was just people
like,
we were fanboying over.
We were like,
oh my God,
how does car backloading work?
And like, everyone's happy to go on a podcast if like
They're not being asked by anyone else.
yeah, so they're just
Like literally. So like, we were sat, laptop, no mic. This was back in
2010 probably.
yeah, like a long time ago, at like 8 a.m. interviewing this guy in America, asking like, you said insulin does this at this time, so does that mean if I have fat at this time? This guy's like answering all these
I remember
questions.
proper blinds like, John, so you've mentioned that fatty acid synthase has a diurnal effect here, and he's like, oh my God, I didn't expect to be asked about this. Well, I'm really at the limit of my knowledge. But like, we were just like, please, maybe the answer about how to get
Yeah.
abs is in fatty acid synthase.
And we
Like,
thought
totally
our
lost the
like
from
fitness
trees.
clients would care. Like, we thought like, this is what they will want. But obviously they didn't. And in the background, slowly we were picking up this audience of PTs by
Actual
accident.
other professionals who
Slowly, more PTs started like asking us for fitness coaching.
Yeah.
So that we were like working with a few one-to-one, and they were like, how do I do? So we quit. I quit accounting to do this full time. They were like, hang on a minute. Like, I work in a gym from 5 till 11 and you work from home. Like, how does that work?
Yeah.
And so then the demand started.
So I was going to ask, how
this
did you
slipping, by
guys
the way?
actually go about?
Do I need to? No? Is that all right?
I'm sure that'll be fine. Yeah, that'll be fine. Technical assistance coming in there.
Oh.
There we go. Look at that.
Expert adjustment.
She's done that before. So, a little bit of technical issues going on, but that's fine. We'll just cut this out.
I think you should leave it in.
I will leave it in. I just wanted to make you feel more comfortable.
I think.
Still.
Where's the Needs loosening.
Oh, there we go. That feels promising.
Yeah, it's got like a slow creep on it, hasn't it? I'll be all right. I'll be really careful not to touch it. Sorry.
So, how did you actually, for a lot of people taking that plunge, even when they have another business that's, I guess, starting to pick up and become more profitable and you're seeing the legs in it, it's still very difficult for people if they are in employment to then say, okay, I'm going to, make this decision here to leave that behind, even if they can see the numbers are stacking up, because there's always that element of, okay, well, now it's all on us, essentially. So what was that process like?
There's lots of pressures for that, isn't there? There's your cultural conditioning, and like I had an Egyptian dad, classic, like you must be doctor or engineer or lawyer, and those are the three options in this. You pick a safe career, and no, you don't do any of this online stuff, and all that programming goes in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it forces us to be very risk averse with our decisions. And then there's also like when you're especially in like a large company where the parameters of your life are set by the company. Like, and what's the limit of, like that person's on that salary because they've been here for 5 years and they're a partner and they're an associate, and that in 5 years if I work really hard, like that'll be and everything's laid out, everything's really safe, and the progressions are all just there for you. And actually, it was a guy called Anton Creel, who's a ex-Goldman's trader, who really shook this loose for me, and I think for Jonny as well, where he says, like, you're in a job that pays 30 grand a year, and you want to quit your job to do something more fun, but you think, oh, my downside's 30 grand, and I'll be out on the streets. Like, no, you won't. Your downside, like, if you quit your job today and you tried something and you fucked it, you could go and find another job for 26 grand in a week or two. So really your downside is 4K, not 30K, and your upside is potentially infinite. So just that little, I know it seems so obvious in hindsight, but that little frame shift of how to approach risk was phenomenal.
Yeah, the perceived risk is never what people think it is, essentially, because you've always got this safety net, especially living here. And, I don't know what it's like to not live in this country, but I think with the safety net mechanisms that we have in this country, you're quite far away from ever being down and out on the streets. And also, if you might lose that 30k job, but like you said there, realistically, even if you go into a minimum wage job, you're still not going to be out on the streets, and you still, next time you attempt something, you're not starting from zero. You're starting from all of those experiences that you had in the last time, and you can lean on those experiences, which is good.
I should also clarify, by the way, because I don't want to be put in this bucket. For anyone that's new to us, like, that we're not these like hustle porn kind of characters that like shit on normal 9-to-5 jobs. Like
Yusef is that. That's what Yusef is.
Like there's absolutely value in having like the stability and security of a job. Like it's a huge stress relief. Like being self-employed is just, you're just constantly on, constantly stressed. There isn't an off button. And if you take time off, like at least in the early phases, so does the business. So, and it creates this thing of like anyone who lives on like an hourly billable type job. Oliver Berkman talks about solicitors in this case, where it's like, if you know that you could bill $400 an hour for your work, and then you come home and 7 p.m. you're like having to take your kids to the park, and you're like, I could be billing $400 an hour for this, and now I have to spend time with my stupid kid. It completely switches the way that you see time. Yeah. So like there's huge value in having a stable job. It's just like, is this what you want to do or not?
Yeah. I guess for you guys though, I think the good thing is being able to build something on the side whilst you've got that stable job. Yeah. And then that, I guess what I was getting at was, where did the seesaw tip? And you go, oh, actually, it serves us more to not spend those 37.5 hours doing that. Even if we spend 10 of them doing this, then it would kind of balance out. Was that the case for you guys, or was it?
We had there was a few people we knew who were doing an online business of some sort. And I thought, I remember because the business will be making I don't know, $1,000, maybe $2,000 a month or something. And I thought there's no money in fitness online. And we heard a few examples. One guy called John Romanello made I think he did a launch that was a 1.8 million launch turnover. Another guy that we kept in touch with called Paul Mort was doing big numbers online. So it makes you think hang on.
Maybe we're doing it wrong.
Yeah, these guys are earning in a day in some cases more than the partner at the firm we're working at. So clearly there's something there.
This is doable. Yeah.
But that's the reference point, the partner at the
exactly. That's as good as
the ceiling on income, and then you see someone who's they've proven it's possible, and actually a lot of it's realizing, okay, there are a series of steps that this person has followed. There's a bit of luck and so on as well, but most people aren't special or exceptional. They just did a process for long enough until it worked.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess it's just we'll fix that again. I guess it's just about how's this?
What is it? Just this hinge? Do you think?
They just need
we just fully slacken it and then.
I think what we could do is we could use some. The thing is though, we could use some strong muscles right now. Do we have any over that side of the?
We have an international powerlifter.
Do we actually?
Really?
Yeah, you never told me that. She's got that Eastern European strength. There it is.
Just a bit flimsy.
I think
it's less like
that's what it is.
to fall now. In the podcast, you're just going to say it
just fighting out.
Yeah.
Fighting Albanians.
Albanians?
Yeah, we're saying you got that Eastern European strength.
Oh, yes.
Wait. Has it loosened or is it?
It is weird how it's moving because.
Righty-tighty, I think, isn't it?
Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey.
No, I think this should be
I
fine.
probably tell myself that twice a week.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that it?
It's just you.
Big bottles and stuff.
I've done it 4 times since it started.
This seems better, I think.
You're
it's way
approaching
better.
something, you're I've got it righty-tighty, lefty-loosey.
Righty-tighty, come on, let's do this.
Yeah, that's had a bit of Watson magic, hasn't it?
So, one thing that I wanted to touch on, getting a coach.
You have to cut that out.
No, I want to leave that in. I want to leave that in. There's got to be a claim. Getting a coach. I saw a recent post from you guys saying about if you don't have a coach in what you're doing, you're kind of broadcasting to the world that you don't value what you do. Talk to me a little bit about that then, because I think there's a lot of people out there who are doing their own thing, getting into doing their own thing, but maybe don't see the value, or also, especially in the fitness industry, you feel like you're passing on your credibility if you're getting a coach, because it's like, oh, well, I'm the expert.
It's an ego hit.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
talk to me about that, a little bit about that.
Hormozy talks about it as the ignorance tax, that you, with any progress in anything, you pay with time or you pay with money, and getting a coach is just paying with money. It's just like jumping the queue, basically. So like, it's the biggest life hack. Like we've both got probably several coaches in different domains of our life at all times, because
Yeah.
it just makes life so much easier.
What
Yeah.
sort of coach? So outside of, is it all business or?
Just everything.
Business, fitness, meditation. You've got a tricking, is
Yeah.
that correct? Tricking
All
coach?
sorts. So the framework that we use is like body, being, balance, and business. So the way to divide your life into 4 quadrants. We learned it from Paul Mort, who's learned it from Garrett White, who's probably stolen it from someone else. And it's a great framework to just stop you becoming one-dimensional as a person.
Right.
So and it helps when you're setting quarterly goals. It stops you from like just putting all your eggs into one dimension of your life, and then, you know, a year later your business has gone great, but you've gained 20 kilos, or like your
Yeah.
marriage has fallen apart.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yusef has it was like a realization you had from like a goal set, like you reviewed a year and realized that like it's all just knowing. The phrase is like, you need to know what reps to do, and then just do the reps. And I think people are always like caught in one of the two things. So you either, I think if you take like a PT trying to build a business, for example, they might be working really hard on something, but if they were being honest about it, like how much have they grown their business over a year, 2 years, that's probably because they just don't know like how to spend their time.
Yeah.
And if you just don't know, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So you hire someone who looks at it objectively and says, well,
A
actually,
bird's eye view where
Yeah.
you can look on it and say, actually, you're going fast and hard, but slightly in the wrong direction.
exactly.
Yeah, it's really laziness. It's not like for lack of effort. And all the coaches that we work with, especially when they come on like to work with us, like they've done a lot of stuff and they're working hard. They're not just like lazy,
Yeah.
but they're just doing so much of the wrong thing. So
Yeah.
a lot of the time it's like doing less and just pointing in the right direction.
Everyone's seen like the person in the gym who's there like 6 days a week, but isn't
heartbreaking.
isn't making any progress. And I think like that's the worst place to
Doing
be. Yeah,
Dumbbell.
yeah, exactly. It's in that situation. You often don't know that that's what the problem is.
Yeah.
So like that person in the gym on the treadmill 6 days a week, wondering why they aren't losing weight because they're like over consuming calories across the day. Like they'll never realize that on their own, more than likely.
Yeah.
But paying someone to like look at what they're doing and say, well, actually make these changes, keep the same amount of work,
Yeah.
but make the following changes. And we just hired a business coach like 90 days ago, and it has literally doubled the business. Like I think we both like on a daily basis are like, why, like how has this happened? How did we not see this ourselves? Why did we not hire this person sooner? And it was basically a 2-hour call where the guy just looked at the numbers and like, change this.
It's the funny thing is like it's any coach, I think, anyone who's sensible, because he's a great coach that we have, but like I think if you just got someone's sensible granddad to just sit you down and give you some good old granddad wisdom, like
Yeah.
you achieve the same thing. It's just someone to look at what you're doing from the outside and be like, why are you wasting time on this?
Yeah.
Because it's like the 80-20 rule, isn't it? You become 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of the things that you do, and it often comes down to people become precious with certain elements of things that even though they can see objectively that it's not actually working, they've invested so much time into it that they think, well, it's got to work eventually, and they've invested all of this time, so now I'd be making a loss if we didn't do this. So we kind of need to just keep putting more into this, because we've got it's like those people who are, it's been, you're playing roulette and it's been black the 10 times before, it has to be red now. It has, trust me.
The roulette wheel
has to
doesn't have
be.
a memory.
Yeah, literally. So I think, getting other people to kind of come and have a look at what you're doing. Yeah. So if anybody's granddad's out there, he's just sensible.
Seriously, give your granddad a call.
Yeah.
Pay him
If he's-
$2,000.
If he's sensible and he's not
It's the thought of like, I'm not going to spend the money. I'm going to keep the money and figure it out myself.
Yeah.
Feels like the right thing to do. It just never is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because that money will do nothing sat there, but you can invest in something that like doubles your annual income
Yeah.
and pays for itself over like again and again and again. And if from a phone call or like a 6-week experience with a coach.
Because people are good at following instructions, aren't they? But they're bad when it comes to lying themselves. I mean, you know, if you've ever tried to diet yourself.
Oh, so that's a perfect example, because you could very easily like come up with the correct macros that you should be following and the right training plan, but just the difference of someone else giving you that exact same plan, you're much more likely to do it because you're a dick if you don't.
Well, my ability to write myself a plan with perfect macros is worse than my ability to lie about what I'm allowed to do outside of that. So I'll be like, oh, you know, it's actually just okay to swap this out for that, and you know, it's okay to just. You said you were going to do that, but it's okay to just do this instead because you'll make about because you can just lie to yourself and then you can be like, well, that'll be fine, so I'll just do a bit of an extra workout. So it's just kind of because you don't have that accountability. And I was listening to a podcast with I was listening to Goggins on Chris Williams' podcast, actually.
Halfway through that one, actually.
Are you actually? I'm not going to ruin it because at the very end, no, I'm joking. It was quite early on, don't worry. So he was just saying about motivation and discipline, and he was basically saying he doesn't really think it's either. And I think it's accountability. I think you could get far without motivation and without discipline as long as you have external accountability. So you're more likely, no matter how motivated you are, you're more likely to go to the gym tomorrow if Jonny said, we're going at 6:30, meet me there. Because you don't want to let him down. You don't want to be the dickhead that's let Jonny get up early in the morning, go to the gym, and he's waiting around for you.
So I agree in probably the way that we're all wired. That's definitely like identity maintenance is the pinnacle desire that everything else trickles down from. So we act in accordance with the person that we perceive ourselves to be, and if there's a shortfall, then that's when things start to break down. Gretchen Rubin has a model for this. So I don't know if you've seen this, it's like a 2x2 matrix of the way that people respond to internal and external pressure. So on the top right, there's people who respond positively to both internal and external pressure. They are the upholders. So they're the person who's up at 5 a.m. going for a jog every day. Then there's the obliger, which is what you described there, like someone who responds well to external pressure, but not to internal pressure. So they will only go to the running club if they know they're going to let someone down when they don't turn up at 5 a.m. Then the other two that respond badly to external pressure, but well to internal pressure, they're the rebel. So, they're the questioner. So they're someone who's like, well, why should I wear a mask? Or that if it's an external rule, unless they can be internally consistent with it, they won't follow it.
Yeah.
And then there's the rebel, who responds badly to both internal and external pressure, and they're just quite chaotic, like quite
just
hard
off the rails, essentially. They don't really have
do anything.
Yeah.
You have to really get them in a corner to get them to do something.
Yeah.
See, I can't quite work out what I am because he probably thinks that I don't want to let him down, whereas really I just don't want him to get bigger than me.
Well,
so I know that he's going to be there. I know that he's going to be there at 6:30. So I'm like, I'm not going to get bigger than me. So now you're there at 6:30. I'm going to be there at 6:30 as well, making sure you're not doing more than me.
Just doing curls, just like, fuck you.
I think there's
you go to the toilet, I just start curling.
sneaking them in.
Yeah.
I think for me, the layer beyond that is like seeing something working. So it's like there's the difficult bit is the 4 weeks of like gaining a bit of momentum, and then you see something like some like little hint of like input equals output, and then that in and of itself is
that's
like
the key
makes
to
it
get
fun.
to that point. That's the event horizon of everything. Do whatever it takes to get to that point where you can see it working, and then you've got the receipts, and you can say this actually fucking works. Why receipts is it? Receipts are pretty
It's a great choice of word.
Yeah.
It's so tricky though because you only receive the receipt 4 weeks after you bought the thing.
Start the work, yeah. Difficult.
Yeah.
So is receipt the wrong word?
No. I think it's just a nice way of thinking about it.
Yeah, I've probably heard it on a podcast.
It's the monthly invoice in arrears.
Yeah, it's the direct debit dropping into your account 4 weeks after.
Because they're like the meeting your friend at the gym thing. So like, how many years have you been training?
A long
10?
long time, yeah.
Longer than 10?
Probably, yeah.
Like you probably, if you look back over the last 5 years,
I should be in better shape based on how long.
It's the worst realization, isn't it?
you've probably like all of us probably average like 3 sessions a week.
Yeah,
for like
10 years.
Like that.
Yeah.
And it's not really something you're not like, fuck, I need to like work on that habit of going to the gym. It's just like, it's just something you do because it's nice, like lifting a little bit more this time than last time. And that's all it, like, I don't know about you, but I don't go to the gym because it's like good for my health.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, do you do that?
Well, it's such an abstract thing.
It's like,
to-
it's really good for my heart health, so I go to the gym 3 days a week. It's like, that's not so
longevity is
far.
a poor motivator to like.
Yeah.
What do I do on Tuesday evening? Like it's
So,
Yeah.
and you're not like, you're doing it, why'd you go?
just to get big and muscly and stuff.
Yeah.
No, I honestly think it's out of just like reptilian habit now.
So would you go if you like went on your, I don't know what you do, like your like incline chest press?
That's what I was just doing.
Like,
About an hour ago. I
so,
was incline
and
chest
every session exactly the same reps. Like you can't lift anymore. Same weight, same reps every day, every week. Would you still go?
No.
I think I would, just because how restless I would get from not going. So for me, it's
Okay.
the kind of,
It's a stress release.
yeah, it's not, I don't really like saying that because it's not like, I don't know, I don't, stress release,
You don't feel
I don't
generally
want to
stressed.
accept that that's what it is.
Right.
But it's, yeah, I guess so. It's just something that I do out of habit, that I feel better because I've done it. But then
Right.
that sounds fluffy as well. I sound like I'm in a bad place if I don't go to the gym. I just would feel restless, and I like to just be doing some physical activity.
So if there was no progress associated with it, you still like feel better.
If I could press a button and I just had that feeling and I didn't get restless, then I would probably do that. So it's not the idea of like being in there doing those things. I'm not excited by that. I'm not
Yeah,
under the
I
bench
mean-
press going, fuck, this is so good.
Yeah.
If I could
don't-
just-
I don't think I actually like the training.
I
the
like
actual
feeling a
act
little
of-
bit sore.
So
Yeah, me too.
That's
Having a
really
pump.
interesting because, like, to hear you say that, and you're someone who is like very rarely missed a session for over a decade.
Yeah.
But there are people who go, "Oh, exercise is unpleasant to me." You're like, well, it's unpleasant for everyone. Like, it's not like they're expecting it to be pleasant, and somehow
Yeah.
thinking that there are these special people who like actually enjoy it, and that's what differentiates
Yeah.
them. But it's
I'd
not.
say it's like it's systemically unpleasant.
Yeah. When
It
I,
hurts. It's
especially the kind of
tiring.
exercise you do.
Yeah.
Highly unpleasant.
Yeah, really.
when I
unpleasant.
feel like my knees are going to blow out on
Yeah.
a squat and I can't walk properly for the rest of the day, I'm not going, oh, I love this.
Yeah, this is great.
This is what I would just subscribe. If I could just subscribe to this forever and only do this.
Opt in.
then
All
yeah.
day.
Yeah. I think gyms are a perfect price point because if there were any more, I don't think I could pay more than that to talk to like.
To harm
do, you,
yourself.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's just the right amount where it's like, this is actually shit, isn't it, guys?
But the thing is, so we first met in a CrossFit class.
Yeah.
That's harder than what most people do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it for no extra gain.
Mic drop there.
Oh,
You
like-
definitely see. This is the thing. Some of those guys look insane. Like they look so good, and I'm looking at them and I'm going, "How the fuck do you look like that by doing that?" Because I did that and looked like shit. So what's?
There's a lot going on, isn't there?
Because they
I'm
do,
a
they do
lot more
even
hurt. Do they though?
Yeah, I
Are
think-
their arms so big?
So
my
it-
arms never felt big once doing it. My arms got smaller and my shoulders got more hurt.
I mean, obviously, there's a few reasons why that could be the case, but
Tell me it's steroids.
well,
That's all I want to know.
that's what I want to believe.
Maybe you're just
deep
doing it
down.
wrong, doing the CrossFit wrong.
But there's probably a big element of just brute forcing, like
Yeah.
volume, and like when Chris started doing CrossFit, like
When I saw you doing the CrossFit, I thought you were doing it wrong, mostly.
Probably on wrong.
just doing hang snatches. for reps.
just lifting it. Just yeah.
Because you and I, realistically, were out of place in that class, weren't we? Like, everyone else is doing snatch properly.
Yeah.
You and I were
Bros commit.
grabbing it. We're like,
Yeah.
And like that- and that's probably why.
No matter what.
And then we were made to run.
Yeah.
And running's hard, and no one likes running.
I don't get the running after doing like heavy legs. My
Yeah, it's
lower
stupid.
back. I was doing it. I was thinking, I don't know how much I can keep going here. I don't understand. I feel like with all sports, there's an element. There's one particular element that if you have that, it can negate many issues that you have. Basketball,
like the keystone
if you're 7
attributes.
foot, that's great. That's a good starting point. 7 foot is always a good starting point. Rugby, if you're just a fucking massive, strong, fast person, that's great. Do you know what I mean? The finer motor skills in different sports, whatever. CrossFit, it's just durability. Like, if you're able,
Just how much battering can you
just
take?
how much fucking pain how much displacement can you take in your knee? Like, how much tearing of a tendon can you take, but just still do it?
Yeah,
Do you know Reggie Fasser? He's like one of the best CrossFit guys
Right.
in the country,
Really robust person.
He was like he looks like he could fall down off a cliff. Just
he could
tumble
jump,
down.
He could jump over there.
He could jump down
fine.
there head first
It's
and
gonna
land in a piston squat. And I've seen it happen.
Hands on head.
Just hands on head, wearing a weighted vest.
But back to what you said. So you said if gyms were any more because it's so unpleasant,
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay. But like
Yeah.
there are like whatever they're called, like
Yeah.
boxes all
Yeah.
over the country with people paying more than the average rate.
Yeah.
To
And
do
taking more
more
pain.
than the average level of.
I don't
required.
understand how they're able to do it. If I fell over, I wouldn't be able to train. If I walked out of here on the cobbles and tripped and fell over, I probably wouldn't be able to train for 4 days. do you understand? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would hurt my knees so badly. I'd probably scrape all my side. Like these guys,
That's the
they're
truth.
not
isn't
right
it?
in the head.
Yeah, well,
like-
we joke about this, but I think you're actually onto something there. That there is a deep. So Mike Israetel has a great video on like what it means to go to failure. You know, where he's on the hack squat machine, and he's like, you know, there's standard like mechanical failure, like oh, this is a bit hard. I'm on rep 12. Oh, okay, that's slowing down. I'm gonna just rack the bar there. But then there's the next level. There's like a true RPE 9, which is like, right, final set. I can only do this once every couple of weeks. Like, you know, the recovery dip is too big. Here we go. Like the reps are like really grinding through, and and then there's level 3, which is like you dig into deep childhood trauma and speak to yourself in Russian, and like you're tearing.
It's
muscles
like
off
genuine
the
fear.
bone.
Like scared of.
You're speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
That's what- yeah. And there is an element of that. Like exercise is like, yes, we're wired for the pleasure response, but it's a form of self-harm in a way, and many
Yeah.
people use it to self-flagellate themselves.
Maybe they've just got a lot of, they've just got a lot of mental pain, and they're just trying to balance that out with physical pain.
Battling
And
the
maybe I
demons.
just don't. Yeah, they're just balancing the seesaw of like physical and mental trauma. And maybe I just don't have enough mental trauma to do it.
But
Sorry.
it's
Those guys.
Tried it.
drive
Not
it.
for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, the redlining, don't get it. Don't want to do that. Sorry, guys. Can we just... I want to do 12 reps. Is that okay?
I think
No
12
matter how
12
hard
is
it
too
is.
many.
It's cardio.
You know the
isn't it?
perfect reps is, I think, 8.
I've heard you should never do it.
Really?
You should never do 7.
It's like between
because-
strength and muscle gain.
because you've seen like the chasm of gainlessness.
Oh, whether...
'Cause, like,
4 to 6 is strength.
the classic
8 to
textbook.
12.
Yeah, 8 to 12s.
So
And
if
then,
you do 7, you've
yeah,
wasted
I think
percent.
I saw that, and I think the top comment was, my sister once did 7, she's now Mr. Olympia or something. She's just... So, next thing that I wanted to speak about is I got into a little bit of trouble on TikTok.
God.
I know,
Yeah,
can you
you've been-
imagine
You've been
that?
smashing it on TikTok.
Can you imagine that? I got into a little bit of trouble on TikTok because
Can't imagine it, Alex.
I, offhand, wasn't even thinking, because I rarely do, I just, off the top of my head, said that it doesn't make sense to me to go to university, do an undergrad, do a master's, do a PhD,
I saw this one.
stick around, and then just fucking teach at the uni, because you don't have any, like, what have you done? Do you know what I mean? You've been at school your entire life. Who are you to... And what did you guys do was back me up?
Okay, so coming from a man who spent 10 years at uni.
Yeah. And what did it ever do for you?
So
I'm not saying that. I understand. There was a lot
Yeah,
of
let's
comments.
have a
There was,
bit more context
sorry.
on this, please.
There was a lot of comments, and on reading some of the comments, I understood from certain people's perspective, and I responded. I was like, "Oh, actually, yeah, I get that in that particular field. I wasn't actually talking about that, but that's a great comment." To which I was just met with again, like, "Yeah, fucking red pill." I was like, "Oh, get out of the matrix."
This is classic that people
God.
watch a 30-second
Yeah.
video and think that that's like the ultimate truth with all the caveats and everything. Just, oh, that's it in TikTok.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Of course you can't cover every possible...
I guess I was mainly
Contingency.
talking about businesses that you would actually go into. So something like a business degree, or something like, where there is practical, where there is a hint of practicality with what you do. Obviously, some guy was like, "Oh yeah, where am I supposed to get experience doing theoretical physics or something, or quantum physics?" And I obviously didn't know the answer to that, so I just ignored it. I think I deleted that comment. Delete. Sorry.
Didn't
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. So obviously, in certain elements, I imagine that you probably can't do that, and obviously, I know nothing. But it was just, from the business standpoint, are you going to go to university and get a business degree from someone who's just been at that university, who's never actually stood foot in a business?
Yeah, I think the learning business at uni or school or whatever is, well, I mean, between us, like, we've got 5, you've got 2 degrees and a post-degree qualification.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah, forgot about that.
Doctor. And then I've got a degree and an accountancy qualification. So 5 things. I don't think on a daily basis we use anything from any of them.
Probably the accountancy, but I think for you
And
that's
we
like
pay
general
accounts.
Yeah, we do pay. Like you don't do the accounts.
No.
So, like,
But you have a good understanding of it at least. So
Yeah,
did you do it originally?
but I don't need to. It's like, it literally is it's helpless. Like, I look at the accounts, I'm like, yep, that looks like a set of accounts. Those
Yeah.
numbers are like broadly what I thought they were going to be. But like,
and I've
you're
got a
not
degree in business.
you're not an accountant, and you look at them and you're like, yep, I understand what those numbers mean.
Probably less than you, but
Yeah.
you're right that we pay someone to do that. Yeah, and
It's like understanding how a computer works, so that you can use a computer. It's like it might help, but it's not. It doesn't really add
I think
much.
that's the key. Like, what's the goal?
Yeah.
What
Like,
what
why do you have
want?
that knowledge?
I guess that's all I was saying. That I just
Yeah.
all I was saying is that anything like, so one of the guys was just going on at me how I should go and do this degree because then I can blah blah blah, and I was like, can you not just pay someone to do that? And he's going, well, you wouldn't even know what to do, and I was like, well, I could.
But see-
I just said, well, I could just ask you.
So I had a very similar comment because I posted something about productivity, saying like, figure out the classic, like figure out your hourly rate, and if you don't enjoy doing something like meal prep or cooking or cleaning or whatever, or ironing, you can just get somebody, and usually like £10 an hour or less, to do that for you, and then you've arbitraged the difference. Someone commented to be like, that's such snobby behaviour, you don't even do your own ironing, I can't believe that. And someone responded to him saying, yeah, I also just shit in a bucket and throw it outside because I don't want to leverage modern technology with toilets and things to make my life easier. It's like, yeah, there are, like, the whole point of civilization is that we're building on like stuff that we don't have to do manually anymore.
Yeah.
We're not like scrubbing our clothes on the washboard anymore. Like we have washing machines so that we can advance ourselves more.
Yeah, the hypocrisy that I see on social media constantly, that comment would have made me so angry because I hate hypocrisy so much. They've accused you of being snobby, yet said that the person whose job it is, who gets paid
Well, yeah,
to
that's
iron
that's
clothes,
harsh on the
is
person
kind of lower than low, to the point where that shouldn't even really be a job because you should just do it yourself. That's their profession.
Yeah.
It honestly annoys me so much. Like, who's the snob now? Me, who's
Yeah.
just employing someone to do something because that's what they enjoy doing and
They're
good at and have
they're
time to
willingly
do.
doing it. It's not. I'm not forcing anyone.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
in
doing it
free
for
market.
money.
You haven't
This is-
imprisoned them in your house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think would you go back to, if you were 18 now, would you go to uni? I
No.
think is the question. No. So
Because the knowledge that I gained from a business degree, which I thought would equip me to run a business, didn't. And actually doing one was orders of magnitude more learning and very specific to what we need. I actually did a module in entrepreneurship in 3rd year, thinking like, oh, okay, this is
it. This is the secret.
Because all the other modules were like very abstract stuff, and it turned out it was like history of 1930s America entrepreneurship.
Love that.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, I would love to go into the university and get paid to teach the entrepreneur section of the degree, and I would go, first things first, don't pay someone loads of money to do this.
Start something and
yeah,
test
there you
it.
go. And if you get the opportunity, take money to go and tell people not to do it. And I'll just that's lesson one.
There's your
See yous.
business.
Yeah, there you go.
I
Do you
think if a Newcastle uni as an organisation got rid of, and it was just selling like an online course for like, I don't know, $9,000 a year, I don't think they'd sell it very well. Like, if you imagine they're like,
education
There wasn't the
companies are
institution
famously
Yeah,
education companies are
certificate and
famously terrible at marketing because they don't, obviously a lot of what I do is going into big education companies, colleges, whatnot, and helping them with their strategy for their courses, essentially. And the biggest issue that they have, and what I see you guys do, which is really good, and the polar opposite of what they do, I don't think I've seen anywhere in any of your literature what the course really covers, because at the basic level, nobody gives a shit. They care about the end results. You guys are very good at showing people the end results of what they will be able to achieve, not what the course will entail, and what colleges, universities, all establishments focus on
Or syllabus first.
is the syllabus.
I mean,
so this is what
we are
you're-
transparent about what we teach as
No,
well, but we're not like, oh,
yeah,
this is the, you know.
but that's not what's interesting. I always tell when I go into these companies, I'll say nobody wants to do a course. First and foremost,
It's
get
work.
that out of your head, because if they could just press a button and download the information, not one person wouldn't do that. You know, it's like going on holiday, but your brochure for going on holiday is just pictures of the inside of the aeroplane on the way there, with the hopes that
Just
where
like
you
the
go
2-hour transfer that you weren't expecting.
Yeah, literally. Oh, there's been a delay.
Yeah.
But there's a new Pret opened in a terminal or whatever. So do you know, it's all about the destination, and I think that's what they fail to realize, is that you reverse engineer from there, and yeah.
Well, this is we mentioned at the start about the internalized programming that we take on, and it's come from our parents, because back in their day, the data did show that having a degree improved your salary, and now like because of the momentum from the educational institution, they're riding off that, and they're trying to milk it for as long as they can.
Yeah.
That if you pay $9,000 a year, you'll have a degree and you'll a special certificate, and you'll be more credible and all this. And the world's no longer, that relationship doesn't quite hold up anymore, and the correlations are quite shaky. So there's no need for them to market, because they're riding on that.
But it's their fault. They are to blame for this shift, because your 2 degrees make total sense. Accountancy, to the name of a job. Medicine, I don't want the person who's got I want the person with a certificate.
You want a doctor with a medical degree, yeah.
I would like one, is all I'm saying. If there's 2 options, I'm going with the one with a degree.
I didn't do accountancy.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
What did you do?
Economics.
Okay, well that still sounds good.
But that's the point. It sounds
good.
It's a signal to an employer to say, like, I can sit on my
and I totally get it, and I don't fully agree that you don't have to do the degree to do the job. Totally understand that in terms of the business one. At 18, you might not have been ready to dive into doing a business. You might have needed that extra couple of years to figure out what it is that you want to do. So I think sometimes university gives people an opportunity to kind of learn how to work hard, apply skills to something, show that they can actually be given a task and follow it through, and then build up their interpersonal and team building skills to the point where when they finish, they go, actually, right, I want to do a business. Okay, maybe I haven't learned everything I need to know, but I'm a lot further than I was when I was 18, which I totally understand. The universities have lowered the bar to getting in so much because they just want as many people there as possible. People are doing, degrees that aren't even... For example, how many sports scientists have you ever met? You guys both went to RGS, right?
Quite a few.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you ever, after school, picture the scene, you go to your friend's house, Darris Hall, lovely big gates, they open, wow, you go in, marble everywhere, heated floors. Oh, what does your dad do?
Floors.
Oh, he's a sports scientist. Did that ever happen?
No, it's
not a job. I've never met one, but I know 4,000 people who've done a sports science degree, and I'm not saying that there's no opportunities.
Like someone who is in the labs doing sports science.
What is that?
But I think that's the question.
What
What is
is
sports science?
bubbling potions, and like, what is this? He's melting a
To
basketball.
figure out how the angle to throw a rugby ball at.
I don't know what it is, but I know hundreds of people who've got the degree.
I think that's a bit of an unfair example. Like, to shit on sports science.
I'm not shitting on sports science, first of all.
Like, you're shitting on.
I love the story though. I
Yeah.
feel like, it was good.
With the marble, the heated
Yeah.
floor. Are you
What's your dad
shitting
do?
on like the absence of real world sports scientists?
Just how many people they allow do that based on how many jobs there are in
It's
that
like
field.
a filler, isn't it? It's like, you need to do a degree. Let's find something you can do a degree in, and
right.
then
It's just something that they know, the universities know that a lot of people are interested in sport and that they like sport. So making that
Can we funnel
accessible.
that demand
I think
into
charge thousands
can
a
we
year
get
to-
£9,000 a year
Yeah.
when they realistically know how many people who leave your course as a doctor go on to be doctors?
how many people who do a medical degree become a doctor? The numbers are dropping at the minute because NHS.
How high
morale
is it though?
pretty low.
Is it pretty good?
It's pretty high. It would be in
you've
the
got to
90s.
you've got to fail the course. You become a
gotta
doctor like by default, don't you?
Yeah, so you either fail the course or like you qualify and then you're like, I'm out straight away. But there's
Okay.
quite a small
But
percentage.
if you
Even
want to get
then, you
into
still
it-
are technically in F1, F2. Like, you're in the RVI
Yeah, you're still doing.
as part of. But
So
yeah,
if you
I
want to
sorry,
do
go on.
it, then you can pretty much, unless you're shit.
Mm-hmm.
But
Whereas
then
you don't
just
become a
failed the
sports
course.
scientist.
Whereas, they're filtering so many people into these other degrees,
Okay.
knowing that there's actually not an end.
There's
Right,
no
sorry,
outcome.
I get what you're
Yeah.
saying now. So so certainly with medicine, like they actually plan it in reverse. So they say, how many doctors do we need in the UK workforce in 5 years' time?
Yeah.
That's how many students we're going to recruit. So if someone drops out, the university gets fined 400k because they've planned those numbers so accurately
Per person?
per student that drops out.
400 grand.
So that's why the bar to entry to medical school is so high. because they need to make sure that like
They don't get billed, they're going to get fined.
well, that they don't enter and then aren't good enough to pass the
see.
course. And,
How much does the Institute of Sports Scientists bill the uni?
Savage?
I-
If you're a
so
sports
what-
scientist,
Look, if you're a sports scientist, hit me up. I want to know what the fuck you do.
Yeah.
Do you know,
Show us your labs,
Just
hidden
show
lab
me your
and
day.
underground lab.
I'm not saying that there's no such thing as a
But
sports
there's
scientist.
not
I'm
many
just
roles
saying
available
they
relative
let
to the number of
thousands
people.
of people do it because they know it's something people will be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of dangling in front of them of this is going to be something fun to learn. And don't get me wrong, I don't.
Okay, so what that is a winner takes all job market. So Cal Newport talks about this. Like actors is a massive one.
Yeah,
So like the top actors smash it.
yeah,
But like 99 point whatever % of them like have to work in a bar
Yeah.
between jobs because it's never enough to.
But now imagine if universities were reeling out 3,000 acting degrees per year.
Oh,
You would find that unfair, wouldn't you?
Oversupply,
Knowing that, just pumping.
Well,
thousands
there aren't
of-
enough jobs. Like, not everyone can do like Tom Cruise's job.
Exactly. So there's not a market for. That's why there's no. Is there acting degrees? I don't even know.
There must be. I'm pretty sure there is,
But
yeah.
do you know what I mean?
So I where I went to work after, so when it like did my accountancy qualification, they started taking people on at 18, and there were a couple of guys there that just like spun out within a year because they were trying to live this like uni
18-year-old
lifestyle. And I looked at them and thought like you just needed like
A few
I feel
years.
like what I got out of uni, like the lectures that I had to go to were like part of the thing that I had to do.
Yeah.
But I got
Just
nothing
some
out
time
of
to
that.
let off some steam.
Yeah, like
do get that, though.
I think
I
it's
totally
like
understand.
it's like a couple of years to just like
You're at the same
You
level
just-
as everybody else.
you just like get it
Time
all
to-
out
to
your
bench
system.
160
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
drink a lot of alcohol.
Exactly. And then
Brenda
you come out
from
of that
HR
and you're like,
isn't going to understand
Right.
that you wanted to get pissed on a Wednesday night because your
Exactly.
mates are.
Exactly.
She's not going to understand that that's where you're going through at the moment. So it's
you-
very
you
hard for her
dropped
to
in.
relate.
It's like, all right, 3 years. Here's the textbook. See you at the end. And like, you'll either come out with a degree or you won't. If you do,
Yeah.
it's like I think the signal is, I didn't like totally derail when I was given shit tons of freedom. Because if I didn't go to lectures, like no one gave a fuck. Like no one chased
Yeah,
me.
there's no one.
So there was a
Paying
lot
the
of
lifeguard
like,
anyway. So
yeah, you're paying. So like, it's up to you to get the
Yeah.
outcome. It's a very expensive outcome, but I don't think like that sort of degree. So like my degree didn't lead to a job, but I think without that, I'd have tried to go into a job and probably lost it.
do you regret your degree?
I
I know
wish
that's a different question to like, would you do it again?
I probably would have done. I'd have tried to have done something else. I think because
But that's
economics was
because you know.
hard for no
That's
reason.
because you know now about that degree.
It is hard
Whereas
for no reason.
Yeah.
if you'd done a different degree, you know, that's just because you would like to download that information if you could probably. Obviously, anybody who finishes their degree isn't off to do it again, given the opportunity, because they'll think, well, no, I've fucking done that now. I'd rather do one in sports science or whatever it is, or you know,
Well, they go one of two
English
ways.
literature.
So like we work with someone she's a PhD volcanologist, loves volcanoes.
Really into
Like she did earth science as a degree, and now she's like, I love that. I want more of it. So now she's
Yeah.
a PhD in
As
earth
much as
science.
possible.
And then, yeah,
But is she not then going to be that kind of top 1%? She's got a deep passion for it. She's obviously extremely bright.
she's a very high performer. Yeah. So
Yeah,
like,
she's a high performer. She's decided to go into that niche. If there is 5 jobs available in volcanology, I don't even know if I've said that right, then she's
might
going to
get
be...
one.
Yeah, that's the thing Simi and Panda were selling, right?
volcanology
What's that called? The thing?
in a bottle.
Have you seen it? Volcan or something?
Latest pre-workout.
Yeah. Must work. He looks good.
See, Panda, what a flashback. We had him on the website in like 2009.
Yeah.
I think Ben.
He has
interviewed him.
those shots of those little, I don't know what it's called, Vulcan or something. They're just little shots. They make your body a bit hotter. But he looks well
Make
for
your
it.
body a bit hotter.
Yeah, I've heard.
I could do it.
Like temperature.
I don't know, something. It melts the fat. So you have 2 of those shots
nice.
a day. and
Like
it melts the fat.
L-carnitine, bit of
Yeah.
tyrosine,
He looks good though.
guarana.
It's
does look
working.
good.
It's working. That's what I was thinking when I saw the advert.
Must be that. Must be
Yeah.
the shots.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
You're like out the
Seven
workforce
grand.
if you do a degree for 3 years, aren't you? It feels like you're not. It feels like you're somehow going
All of
towards
the
a job, but you're
workforce,
not.
Yeah.
But all it should be is like a 3-year fun camp where everybody goes and it's like 100 quid a month, for example, like much cheaper. And you get access to like the building and there's all the nights and it's all everything. It's a simulation of uni, but you can learn whatever you want in that time.
Or there's no learning, and it's just random at the end. You get given a degree, so it's like there's no actual learning, and you just better hope that you've been
Sports science.
doing it. You've got the medical degree in front of you, and you're going, I fucking should have Should have read some books, probably.
But
'cause
imagine if you
gonna
were
be a
just
doctor.
in a building with loads of libraries and loads of information for 3 years. You could learn whatever you want from any source you want. You start a business. You can learn languages. You can learn how to trade. You can,
Yeah.
How do you verify that you've done something in that time?
doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. There's no bar at the end.
Well, like,
You've just gone to the fun camp.
I had to
and-
show a certificate to say I got a 2-1, but like, no one gave a fuck what the degree was in.
I see, and no one knows what you did in that time.
Yeah, it's like time clocked on in like
At
a
the end of
library
the
or
3
something.
years,
It's
you've
just
got to start a
arbitrary.
podcast. And
Nice.
based on the success of the podcast, is how little you've learned.
You know what? Like, what's your prediction for, and what generation do you consider yourself from? Just before I ask.
I mean, I'd be a millennial.
Because
if that's
millennial,
what we're
is that
talking
like
about.
anyone who's like 25 to 40 or something?
I
currently?
think
Something
it's
like
a little
that.
bit, yeah, it's 1997 to 81 or something.
Okay.
So it's quite a broad, same as you guys.
It is a broad one, yeah, because I think we're like bang in the middle of millennial. But what do you think is going to be the trend over the like for the young people over the next 10 to 15 years? Because I can't tell if it's going to go.
You mean, is it like yo-yo Pokemon cards? Is that sort of thing?
Well, yeah, but like the like
It's just going to be just
Yu-Gi-Oh!
kids everywhere with Tamagotchis.
That'll be
trying
it.
to keep them
Like-
alive.
It'll go
Like-
back to that.
Is it a race to the bottom, or are we having this emerging like super generation of like absolute terminators that are going to come out of like, or is TikTok just damaging? Like,
Just everyone's so enlightened.
or is everyone so down the dopamine?
Do you mean like, is
dungeon
everyone
that-
going to be like a crypto trader and start like a drop shipping company? And
Yeah,
Is
precisely.
anybody going to have a job, or is everyone just going to be self-employed?
So interestingly, my
Smashing
friend,
online.
our friend Ben, said that there's something like, I can't remember the percentage, but there's basically close to 0 welders under the age of 40 currently, or like the average age of a welder is like.
I think everybody
57.
will just be selling crypto and online courses until it balances out a form of like communism, where we're all just buying it,
just
the
it's,
buying
course
each
off the
other's
next
course.
Everyone's
person.
got a 997
yeah,
course,
it
yeah.
just goes back to kind of like a hunter-gatherer civilization where I make the bread, you give me some iron in return for the bread, or
The new currency is just a crypto course.
the new currency is just
logins.
your
Just
service,
login
your course that you've built. I think.
Yeah.
On
I don't
selling
know.
courses
I
to people without
definitely
courses.
think that there's going to be a swing, because I think people are starting to realise now that university isn't giving them what they were hoping for, and I think there's been a spike in apprenticeships. Looking from an education standpoint, because that's the only kind of
Suppose, yeah, you've
eyes
got
that I can
the-
see on that. Apprenticeships are massive now. You can do degree apprenticeships, but all the way to content creation apprenticeships, personal training apprenticeships. So all of these things that have previously been vocational, in the sense that you would learn it, but there's no actual shadowing element and there's no case study building, is going back to apprenticeships. So the government's taking a lot of its funding, a lot of its money away from loan funding, and it's redistributing it through apprenticeships. So previously, an apprenticeship provider would be allocated a pot of funding. So you might get $1 million a year to spend, and it's kind of, you start with that much, and every time you sell a course, that takes 9,000 off it, 9,000 off it, 9,000 off it. Now it's kind of open-ended, and all of the money's just there. You approach an employer, and if they want to do it, then there's no upper limit, so you can do as many apprenticeships as you want.
Right. So it's done at the employer level is the one who determines the demand.
It's kind of, rather than you get a pot and you spend it, there's one big pot, and it's just drawn out when you use it. So if you can do 500 apprentices, then you can do 500 apprentices. This kind of, it's
more of a free market.
essentially that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. So I think that that's obviously the direction that they want to go in, because they can see the value in people learning while they earn and learning from somebody else. Because like you said there, where are we going to learn from if there's only X amount of welders? We're relying on those people kind of passing on that knowledge.
I have this like weird nightmare fantasy that like
Of being a welder.
well like what if like you know this world of like smart weapons that could like take out everyone from a certain race or whatever, and it's like a really
You've
kind
been
of
watching Black Mirror again.
apocalyptic thing. It's a sort of Black Mirror type
Yeah.
thing. What if someone just took out all welders in the world? Like suddenly we've got no welders and no welding knowledge
Honestly,
available.
I think about that all the time.
Or like all of any particular specific profession.
I think
all
just the
HR ladies
well, say
HR
if we need welders, which I'm guessing we do. I don't know what gets welded, but I imagine loads of shit gets welded
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the shit, there's no supply of welders. price of welding goes up.
You've just got full
Yeah.
faith in
Wage. Well,
Free
there'll be a
market.
lag. It'll be shit period of time where like bits of metal are like flying around all over the
Yeah.
place, and I was like, the fuck, I should have been welded.
People are getting footballers' wages for doing a bit of welding.
Yeah, I think like that. That's just, and I think that'll happen
All the
with like.
footballers will become welders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you just find people with transferable skills probably who would go into that. I'm
So all
sorry
like
if you
all
didn't
the
want to
joiners.
the real answer. Yeah.
No, that's
You're ruining his fantasy, man.
no.
God's sake.
It's really sad. I'm
Yeah.
gonna sleep at night finally now. Like
Yeah.
knowing that.
I think
the
you'll
world-
wake up in the middle of the night and you'll start writing down what you think are jobs as transferable skills
Yeah.
to welders. Drilling. Like, what is transferable?
like,
What's welding
chef,
similar to?
Don't know.
Painting. Is that like welding? Not really.
Painting maybe.
I think chefs.
Chefs.
Because like cake decorators, because it's just different material that you're working with, but you're still sticking ice.
I think it's
onto-
pretty different to cake decorating. Maybe not.
You don't need like a mask. So there we go.
Is this where you imagine the podcast going?
That was actually my next point.
Welding. You got welding circled.
I've got World Without Welders and
Yusef's biggest
Yusef's
nightmare.
Fantasies.
Yeah.
Well, we've ticked both of them, so we'll move on to
Fantastic.
Rules for Life by Anton Creel, because I've noticed that you guys have been posting about them. I just want to know what your favourite one is.
Good God.
Oh, the one about risk that we mentioned earlier about.
We can't have that one because we've already mentioned it.
We've
So
got-
it has to
Yusef
be a
got
different one, yeah.
retweeted by him this morning.
Yeah,
Did you
he
actually?
shared it.
That's massive,
Very
you know.
nice.
That's like, for us, that's like, that we're done now.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
Anton,
Shut the
right.
laptops. Finished.
That's
Yeah.
it.
We're on his program actually.
Yeah, so I did see that. So what does that entail? Is he one of your
It's
coaches?
heavy going. Speaking
It's-
of degrees, it is a degree.
It's a degree. Like,
Yeah.
you know how people make an online course and they try and make the videos short and it like nice lighting. This is just 45 hours
Him
of
in a Bloomberg terminal and a spreadsheet.
PowerPoint presentations, small text, very complicated Excel spreadsheets
Each video is 3 hours, and there's like 80 videos.
on
Do
like,
the captions pop up on the bottom?
there's no
Like the
captions.
No,
Yeah.
it's brutal.
What's it about?
What's your favorite, like, building a long, short stock portfolio? Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's not fun.
So what are his
at all.
rules for life though? Because that sounds more fun than.
It's
than
financial rules for financial success.
that. Well, go on then. What have we
So
got?
there's just like adjust your attitude to risk,
Money,
rent rather than own,
respect money.
respect money. Oh yeah, respect money. That's got to be the
Yeah, respect.
the
What does
biggest
that
thing.
entail?
yeah.
So that entails undoing a lot of the, again, like we're kind of looping back to like the social conditioning and the habits that we take on about money and about resources and stuff. So things like being told money is the root of all evil, or only like if you flash cash, then it makes you a bad person, or like all these kind of like judgments that we have like unconsciously about money, and they hold
Yeah.
people in the position that they're in.
I liked something that I saw, and it was the difference between, rich people and poor people. And I think that oftentimes when I talk about rich people and poor and broke people, I think was the terminology used. It's never about how much money they actually have at the time, because you can be rich and not have a lot of money based on how you perceive your situation, and also how you perceive money. Because you often find that people who are extremely wealthy, they can lose a lot of money, but then quite quickly have made it back. So they were never
And vice
poor,
versa
were
as
they?
well.
They might have been broke, but they were never poor.
So there's a very large percentage of lottery winners that after 2 years,
Exactly.
they lose a lot of their
Yeah,
wealth.
exactly.
And, they
And-
haven't got the skill set to
Yeah.
like stabilize. Or you could say maybe it's not a skill set thing. Maybe it's it's like psychodynamic processes, like unconscious behavior towards like, oh, I can't have all this. So
It's the way they view it, and the way that they. The quote was, the difference between rich people and poor people is that poor people see every opportunity as a scam, and you do kind of see that in mentality, that every single opportunity that comes across some people, no matter what it is, it's like this guy's course. There's people who go, that's a scam.
So something I would recommend for anyone listening is next time you see an advert for anything that's in that kind of niche, look at the comments, and you'll see loads of people that comment with scam, 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 and you then go on their profiles and just get a flavour of them.
Yeah, just figure out the sort of person that they are. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, do you know what scam actually means, or are you just using that word because you
Well,
don't
it's
like
like
it?
Because you don't think
defense
you could do
mechanism,
this.
isn't it?
Yeah. It is a defense mechanism. They throw that up because they don't want to do the work that's required in order to take advantage of that scam.
It's easier to be like, oh,
Yeah.
if it's a scam, then
Yeah.
It's about what we were saying of like someone can work hard
Yeah.
and earn 30 grand a year and think like I can't work any harder, therefore 30 grand a year is what I can. But it's the
Anyone that earns more is a scam.
yeah,
Anyone that's
or
bigger
like
than me is
it's
on
unrealistic.
steroids.
Yeah, exactly.
Interestingly, if you look at the comments on the Simian Panda Vulcan stuff, it's just loads of people going, "This is really good."
Really?
Honestly, yeah. Unless he's got someone there deleting
All the
because
other
I
ones.
obviously always go to the captions. The captions for me is way funner than any post I've ever seen. The captions are my favorite thing about social media because I just, whatever the post is, I go, yeah, that's cool. Let me see what these idiots are saying. And then I just delve into the comments and I'll just go on them, I'll click on them.
It's
and
a
I'll
true
go,
democracy because then like the best voted ones go to the
Get
top.
to the top.
Yeah.
We actually have a series where we just read out our best hate comments. It's a lot of fun. I would recommend it if you're big on TikTok. Like,
I'll get a few more things saying, obviously universities are a total waste of time and academia.
just push a few buttons on your next few videos and
is academia totally done? No.
Is that like a
so
cake sliced up?
We'll
Yeah.
where do you see the future of the fitness industry going? What's next?
I mean, I've had my view's been a bit shifted over the last couple of months, but
I think there'll be a shift to AI-based apps and programming
Yeah,
that I think will
definitely.
take a certain percentage of the industry. So like people who maybe are paying a coach in some way for that sort of service.
Yeah.
But I think with all of these things, they like flip-flop between like traditional and modern. So I think there'll be a reversion to, I think more people will go like in gyms.
I
wanna
believe
work
that
with a person.
I just had a conversation earlier that most people will be looking for that kind of in-person stuff.
Yeah.
I think automation kills no man's land businesses. You know, those ones that are kind of neither here nor there. They do a bit. They've got a lot of processes that are done manually. You know, everybody was saying, "Oh, machines are going to, take people's jobs," and people believe that hasn't happened yet. You know,
I know.
just because there's not
That's
a robot
coming.
standing in Asda,
Yeah.
the self-checkouts have replaced thousands of
it's not
individual
a new
people's
thing.
jobs.
It's going on right
It's
now.
happened.
You're right.
Yeah, and you just think AI is going to automate the middle.
I think there'll be a focus on like you said it like so some sort of community aspect, whether that's online or offline. So like all the online stuff we teach is not like you shouldn't be in an app messaging someone, adjusting their macros, because that will be replaced. But if you build an online community with a group of people who are all similar age, similar interests, following a similar program, holding each other accountable.
Yeah,
Like what's the client experience that produces?
Exactly.
So much
And it's
more.
very hard for AI to replace that.
So
feeling.
do you think it's emotional intelligence is going to be the thing that's going to differentiate people's success? Because people who are able to emit more emotional intelligence to their clients are going to have something that AI can't replicate.
That's a good question, but it's really hard to actually say, like, is this the human attribute that is going to... Because we all thought, like, our artists are going to... They're going to be the ones that remain. Actually, that was one of the first things to get AI'd. So it might not be emotional intelligence, but certainly, like, there's that thing of it's not... AI won't replace your job. It'll replace the people who don't know how to use AI.
Yes.
So, like, it'll just be the fact that you'll be suddenly one level up and you'll be the one overseeing
Yeah.
and using those tools at your disposal, just as it's always has been, as you said.
Yeah. It's the first time that we're kind of seeing AI reduce the need for as much labor from the actual individual, but not actually replace the individual. So rather than a machine that kind of does it, and therefore you used to have 10 guys welding, and now you have one guy who fixes the 10 welding machines or goes between them.
Still need that guy.
You still need that guy, yeah. He just needs to understand how the machines work. So in terms of the in-person stuff then, you think it'll be, people will then just kind of be paying for human connection?
Well, that's been the cycle already. You know how Johnny was saying, like, the online, like, funnel world has, like, swung two different ways. Like, there was, like, 10, 15 years ago, everything was like auto webinars and everything's automated and many chat bots and all that stuff. And then it swung back to like personal connection, and people was like, can I just speak to a person on the phone, please? And then it's just going to swing back and forth with some opportunity in between.
I mean, you're seeing it in other industries. I know there's a lot of kind of AI being used in OnlyFans, whereby two of the things that they're doing, one of them is creating pictures based on your ideal, what you want. So basically, AI is creating the content that people want to see
Right.
from an OnlyFans perspective, which is a totally
Who pays who with that?
not sure. Nobody's paying me. If the, so I don't know. I've been left out of that financial transaction. It's not cheap though. I'll tell you that. No. So and then obviously a lot of it is the connection, because obviously you can go. The reason OnlyFans has been successful is because of the personal connection. You can go and watch porn for free, and you know everybody knows that it's available. But it's the fact that people feel like they're talking to the people, where they can actually go through the app and, hey, how's your day? It's kind of like a girlfriend.
It's like your
on
girlfriend
there.
boyfriend simulation.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
but now they're actually just talking to fucking Smarter Child from MSN from, you know, back in the day. It's not actually a person they're speaking to anymore. Previously, it was just people who are being paid in essentially a lot of these people who've got like 10,000 subscribers. They're not replying to 10,000 people. Sorry.
They've just trained a chatbot to.
Previously
people.
people would be doing it. So
They've got
like
a farm in the Philippines of like.
essentially, you know, just like you would have a sales center, they've just got people going, oh yeah, nice cock.
Stock replies.
They'll have like a roster of 10.
Follow, yeah,
things
it's just follow this workflow.
Yeah, literally
If
though.
when they say,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
literally. But now, how sad is that?
Well, but why is it sad?
Because you're
Why is it sad?
very defensive.
No, but just I think like it's sad if so like at a high level it's sad because like someone's simulating like having a sexual experience with like a chat on a
But
phone.
they don't think they're speaking to the chat.
So that's what's sad.
Yeah, I think
But
so.
like if they're happy with like if they think I'm speaking to
No,
the
because
person,
the reason
but
they're happy
actually
is because
they're
they think they're speaking to the person. Definitely, that's got to be
So
the
that-
differentiation
that's
between
deception.
porn.
So I think like that will probably that'll happen more and more with AI, and I think that will get regulated and
Do you
made
think the
illegal.
deception will be regulated to the point where
I think
you can't?
it has to be because you'll.
But what about like in strip clubs? Like there's the classic, like, oh, everyone thinks that the stripper actually likes them.
But you're still talking to. There's no illusion that like the
Still
stripper's
personal.
standing there and you're talking to the stripper.
The delusion is the like.
That's implied.
pretense.
Though.
No, because you
Oh,
hear
okay.
so many people who like have been duped almost, that like, oh yeah, I'll meet you after, and you hear those kind of stories all the time where they think that they're gonna, you know, take them on a date or something, and they're
It's
200
opening
quid
loops. It's
in.
like the Netflix psychology, isn't it? Of like,
Yeah.
oh, check out next episode when this is going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm very conscious of the sliced cake with the.
Yeah, do you
single
think it's
slice
still?
remaining.
Is it? Are we still rolling? Yeah,
Okay.
but
Are we just
I
gonna?
mean, if it just cuts off halfway, like people are like, "Fuck!" Like when's?
next episode
Yeah.
dropping soon. No, yeah, I totally understand. I just think that I can see that happening with fitness. One last thing before we
Only
wrap
fans
it
having
up.
fitness.
I can see it just, you're feeling like you're talking to a PT. Because if that technology is being, obviously like, in terms of, you know, perverts rule the world, don't they, in terms of like where the money is first. And it always filters down, doesn't it?
It starts with porn,
If you want to,
and then-
if you want to make a lot
always.
of money, that's the industry.
Yeah.
And then it's, you know, fitness is a
Like
few,
weapons, alcohol.
Yeah,
porn,
anything illegal, porn,
yeah.
sex and porn, and then everything comes from that.
Yeah, because people, you know, in terms of people's buying threshold, nobody's a better, no one's in a better mind frame to buy something than horny people.
It's further
You
down
know,
the
you could
brainstem.
yeah, it definitely is.
The more reptilian you go, the
Depends whether
Yeah.
it's like Apple Pay or whether you've got to go get your card.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
that you have
That's
to
the-
engage higher faculties to get your
Yeah.
card. And
Do they have PayPal? Can I pay with my Face ID?
Face ID, it's over. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How fast?
Well, you don't even have to.
Yeah.
You just go.
Oh shit, yeah. See, this is how much I'm not doing it. So yes, I do feel like it'll filter down into personal training. But just on the ChatGPT, opened it up the other day, just having a little bit of play around with it. Write me a full body workout, upper chest focused. I've got a bit of a tweak in my left shoulder. It wrote me a full, it highlighted. It took all the barbell exercises out because it said that might aggravate my shoulder. Told me just everything.
Would you then say like, I was going to do this, but I walked out of the office and I fell over, so I can't train.
Until 30.
So then what I did is I sold that to 50 people.
I bet there'll be a lot
On
of
your
that.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
It just, yeah. It's we were speaking about this with Mike Israel the other day, that because they're developing apps, Renaissance Periodization, developing loads of apps for training and automating all that, but ultimately people just don't like looking stupid in front of another person. And so like if AI is able to simulate looking stupid in front of another person, I think it will take over a lot of the fitness industry.
Really?
Assuming people then decide that it's bad looking silly in front of an AI. I think that's the question. Is like, can it simulate that
to
feeling?
be fair, I'm hedging my bets against that because I always say thank you to ChatGPT when it gives me anything. Because I feel like
Nice.
everybody
Just
at the
in case.
moment, well, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, if the overlords come and they'll be like, you said thank you, so we'll
They're
spare
going to
you
remember
today."
that. I'm going to get a good job. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to get.
When they become our bosses, and yeah,
Maybe they think like, oh, he's just like a yes man. Like, get rid of him. I guess we'll find
It's a
out.
hell of a
won't
thing to be wrong about. So I'm just, oh, thanks for that. Just little things like that. Because how many people are just taking the information, shutting their laptop?
It's the same rationale of like why you should like go to church and pray, though, isn't it? Like, imagine
just
if,
in case.
yeah,
Well, that is a hell of a thing to be wrong
that's
about, isn't it?
Pascal's
Yeah.
wager.
I know, yeah.
Pascal's wager.
Yeah, that's the concept.
Oh right.
It's that if God exists, then you should probably pray. If he
Yeah.
doesn't exist, then there's no harm done. So like, you might as well, based on balance of probability.
See, my problem is how many gods are there?
And if you pray to the wrong one, then you've annoyed him anyway.
I don't know if that's.
I think you'd get like, I think they'd be like, oh, you made some effort.
concession point.
Do you think? I get worried that there's a kind of multi-god system, like the Egyptians or the Romans, and they would just look down on us with our omnigod stupidity.
Poseidon and
Yeah, all of
Zeus
those
and all that.
Aries and people and
I mean, if that's the case, like, we can't really do anything about it, can we? So
yeah, I guess.
just make an online course and.
Yeah, all that. No, thank you so much for coming in. I think
Thank
we'll wrap
you.
it up there
It's been a
because
treat.
Thank you.
we've spoke about a lot of things there. It
Covered
went
the
exactly
main
as I
topics.
expected it was going to. So, in fact, it followed my flowchart perfectly here. And yeah, we want to hear from you if you're a sports scientist or a welder. 'Cause we
Ideally
want to know.
both.
Ideally both, yeah. And if you're a sports scientist, you might want to reconsider retraining as a welder
Welder.
because there could be a shortage in those.
footballer's wage.
Footballers' wages, yeah. Okay, perfect. Right, again, thank you guys.
Alex,
I really do
thank you.
What
appreciate
a
it.
pleasure. It's been great.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.